Welcome to the final edition of the 757 Preps Peninsula District Football Pick Show. I'm Perez Thomas. I'm with Jason Kidd as always, and we get to head up to Charlottesville this weekend. It looks like.
I hope you got some gas money.
You got half on it. That's all I gotta say.
I'm broke like no joke.
But first things first, let's go ahead and talk about last week's action between Phoebus and North Stafford. And I don't know how many more weeks I'm gonna get to. Well, apparently only one more week, but another classic, another Phoebus, typical Phoebus game. What can you say?
Third straight fourth quarter comeback.
The boys got ice in their veins. That's all I can say.
Hey, they like living on the edge, man.
That they do. But Phoebus came through with a 27-26 overtime victory. Stopped the North Stafford quarterback Austin Grieve at the 1 yard line or 1 inch line. I don't know. You can check out the replay for yourself. You can check out everything. I've heard it 5 different ways. He wasn't in. He was in. Even with the video footage, I can't tell you if he was in or not. It was just that close, and I guess you had to be on the field to call it, honestly.
Well, from my vantage point, it looked like he may have snuck in there, but the officials saw it differently. You can't argue about it now. What's done is done. It's over. You just got to move forward. Can't change the past.
Definitely. But North Stafford brought a solid bunch down to Hampton, and all I can say is, I know it hurts to lose like that, but, I mean, you fought well, and you played a great game, but you ran into those Phoebus Phantoms.
So let's talk about this game. I mean, the way it started, it looked like Phoebus was just going to run all over them. The first drive, the Phantoms take it 96 yards in 11 plays. Every play is a running play. Tony Pittman had 7 of the carries. Belfield, who hasn't played in a couple weeks, he got injured against Lake Taylor, and came in, had 4 carries for 31 yards on the drive.
Yes, sir.
The Phantoms had 3 carries that went over 20 yards. Belfield and Pittman had back-to-back 24-yard gains. Pittman caps the drive off with a rushing touchdown, of course, from 3 yards out.
Yeah, I mean, I was standing in the stands, and I was talking to a guy that was sitting next to me, and I said, looks like they're not going to have to pass the ball. I mean, we talked about, Phoebus going to have to mix it up to win. That first drive goes by, I'm like, they may not have to pass it all night the way they were steamrolling down the field. But North Stafford definitely had something to say about that.
Well, North Stafford responded by scoring 14 unanswered points. A guy we didn't talk about last week, but Anthony Shegog, he opened things up for North Stafford. He scored on a jet sweep from 14 yards out to tie the game. And then Phoebus holds North Stafford to a 3-and-out, so of course they have to punt. And when they punt, Giawantes Featherstone mishandles the punt. North Stafford jumps on it. Very next play, Austin Grieve hits Shegog again for a 27-yard touchdown. And North Stafford's up 14-7.
Yeah, they definitely decided they were going to capitalize quick. I believe right after the punt, they called a timeout because it looked like, I guess, they were going to get a delay of game right afterwards. And I guess he saw something he liked in the defense before he called a timeout, and he went straight to the bomb right there. And quick strike, and they jumped on Phoebus, and then you're thinking, hey, here we go, we got a ball game.
Yeah, well, Eric Anderson stepped up to the plate for the Phantoms. He had a big game. He threw 19 passes in this game, the most he's thrown all season, probably in his whole life.
Yeah.
And he completed 10 of them. On this drive in particular, he had 2 35-yard completion to Featherston, who made up for his fumble. And then he hit Ramon DeLoach at the 3-yard line for a 36-yard gain, and DeLoach had a heck of a catch. He jumps over Brandon Ravenel at the 3, snares the ball, and just comes down with the catch. Pittman scores on the next play to tie the game up with 22. I'm sorry, with a couple minutes left in the half.
Yeah, I mean, it was just action. Every time you looked up, something else was happening, and then, of course, you go into the, I think it was, late third quarter when, or actually, no, it was the beginning of the third quarter. Stafford's driving down, getting ready to put some more points on the board, and Grieve throws it up in the end zone, and Deshaun Summers makes a beautiful interception, keeps both feet in the end zone for the touchback, but that erased at least 3 points, could have been 7 right there, and that turns out at the end of the game, they win by 1,
Right.
A lot of things could have been different.
Definitely, definitely. Well, North Stafford, they had a 17-14 lead, and Phoebus was getting shut down. Fourth quarter comes, they put together another drive, Phoebus drive. Anderson has 2 completions on 4th down and 5 or longer. The first one was to Ramon DeLoach for a 10-yard gain. That gives him the first down. 4 plays later on 4th and 5, he hits Tyler Adams on a quick hitch route.
Beautiful. He ran the route
1 yard past the first line marker, and the drive continues. And then Anderson hooks up with Featherstone again for a 15-yard gain on 3rd and 8. And needless to say, Tony Pittman scored his second touchdown of the game to give the Phantoms a 3-point lead, which could have been a 4-point lead. But they had their extra point attempt blocked.
Actually, it wasn't Pittman on that one. It was Givers.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. It was a 9-yard touchdown pass from Anderson to Miles Givers. Sorry.
Beautiful. And in fact, I think after the game, Sexton said, someone asked him, did you draw the play up? Was he the primary receiver? And Sexton says, I don't even think Givers was in the right place. But hey, it turns out he was in the right place and made a big-time catch. They end up getting an excessive celebration call, which I don't know, was a little over the top to me, but
the officials said it was choreographed, like they had planned it, but
it didn't look like anything planned. They were bear hugging the kid. They were hyped.
I think the officials' call was choreographed.
I think a lot of the calls in the game were choreographed.
So Anderson has to kick off from the 25-yard line opposed to the 40 due to the penalty. And when he kicks off, he's kicking a squib kick and slips. So the ball doesn't travel that far. North Stafford starts their drive with 14 seconds left at their 48-yard line. And then Grebe hooks up with Shegog again. They get in field goal range. He goes to kick a 46-yarder.
And then we get the craziest penalty I've ever heard in my life.
Grebe kicks a 46-yarder, which hits the crossbar, falls back into play, no good. And Phoebus gets called for roughing the center.
Which technically is a rule, believe it or not. If the center is not out of his, hiking position, or he's not up in his stance to block, and you hit him, it is technically roughing the center. I don't think anyone in the state of Virginia has ever seen this called, but it was called during the state semifinal game.
So Grebe gets a second chance. This time he makes a 30-yard field goal to send the game into overtime.
Overtime starts. Phoebus runs it straight in. I think it was, 2 plays?
2 plays. Pittman gets in from 5 yards out.
Kick the extra point. Extra point's good.
The Phantoms are up 27-0, and North Stafford has the ball.
First play off the gate.
Brandon Ravenel catches a 10-yard touchdown pass.
The first we had heard of Ravenel all game, I must say the Phantoms did keep him in check for the most part, which is why Shegog had such a good game, because they did a great job of shutting Ravenel down, and he was a very explosive weapon, but they did a great job with Summers. You have to give lots of respect to Summers, because he locked him down pretty well for the most part.
He sure did. And North Stafford's tight end, Greg Nelson, had some big catches in the game as well. But North Stafford scores, make it 27-26. After calling a timeout, they decide to go for 2.
And the victory.
On the road, going for 2. Their coach, Joe Magano, said their defense was worn down, so he had to go for the win right then and there. Austin Grebe takes a snap with Shegog in motion. It looks like another jet sweep. He reads the defense, pulls the handoff back from Shegog, and takes it up the middle for what looked like the game-winning 2-point conversion. But the whistle was blown, and Grebe was called down at the half-yard line.
It might have been the half-inch line, because like I said earlier, as many times as you look at that replay, half in this hand, half in the other. Half empty glass, half full. Honestly, you could put 10 people in the room, and 5 are going to say he got in, and the other 5 are going to say he didn't.
It's a game of inches.
But the officials made the call. Phoebus stormed off with the W, and they're headed up I-64 to Charlottesville for the state title game.
Yeah, they're going to be taking on a team that has won 11 straight games in South County. South County started the season off 0-3. They lost some tight games, and then they just went on a streak.
And they reeled off 11 in a row, including someone we've all heard of quite a few times, defeating Stonebridge. Yeah, that's right, the same Stonebridge that gave Phoebus the infamous loss that has started this state title run for the last 3 years. They beat them 25-3. Pretty sound, pretty solid victory over, a good bunch. Although Stonebridge was said to be down this year, they still, it's Stonebridge. They're going to have a good squad.
Let's talk about a couple of the wins that South County had in the regular season. In 3 straight weeks, they beat Division 6 powerhouses. They beat Robinson 13-10. They beat Lake Braddock 10-7. And then they reeled off a win against West Springfield 13-7. In 3 straight weeks, that's got to do something for your morale, your confidence.
Definitely, that's a gauntlet.
That has had South County playing strong in the playoffs. Their 3 playoff wins are by average margin of 21 points. They've beaten Stonebridge 25-3. Yorktown, which was undefeated coming into this game, 37-13.
I believe at one point ranked top 5 in the state, top 3 in the state.
And then they knock off Hanover last week, 38-22.
And all that spells to me is a solid football team.
Definitely. They're playing at their peak right now, and this is the best time to be at your best.
Definitely.
So,
but let's go ahead and talk about a couple of their players that Phoebus is going to need to look out for, starting with, from what I've seen and what everyone's been talking about, Michael Ferguson, which he's an odd combination. He's a kicker and not a quarterback, a wide receiver. You don't normally see that,
And when the Washington Post is writing feature articles about you, you must be doing something good. Ferguson leads the team in touchdown receptions. He had 10 coming into last week.
And had 3 last week.
Yeah, so he's playing at his best. As a kicker, he has 10 field goals, and his longest is up 40 yards. But he's consistent with his leg, and he can go up and make big catches. He likes to jump over opposing defensive backs. He makes big catches.
Exactly. I think this will be another good matchup this week between him and Summers, because if it's not broken, don't fix it. Put Summers on the number 1 for whoever the other team's got, and it's going to be a matchup.
Right. But for the most part, South County likes to run the ball, led by Peter Bass Knight. Bass Knight has led South County in rushing this whole year. He had 64 yards on 18 carries last week. They also rely on Andrew Rector. He's a great defensive back. He had an interception return for a touchdown, and he can also add yardage on the ground.
That he does.
And also, you got to look out for Jake Josephs. Last week, he took a handoff and threw a touchdown pass to Michael Ferguson. So you got to watch out for the trick plays when you're playing South County.
That you do, but they're really somewhat similar to Phoebus. They are a run-heavy offense. They have a big play wide receiver. They have a consistent quarterback, and I believe his name is Sean Foley, excuse me. He went 11 of 15 last week with 3 TD passes, all of which went to Michael Ferguson. But he did leave late in the game in the 4th quarter with, I believe it was either a knee or ankle injury, and his status is unknown right now, but I'm pretty sure he'll be out there for the state final.
This is what you play all season for. So
I don't think you're going to be able to hold him off the field. So he will be, someone to look out for as well, but I'm sure Phoebus is going to try and get a couple licks on him and maybe try and get him back over on that sideline.
And South County has a great defense as well. Just like the Phantoms.
Yeah, they like to force turnovers. In the game against Hanover last week, they forced 3 quick turnovers that allowed them to jump out on Hanover and kind of put it in cruise control the second half. Pretty much milk the clock and, run the game out.
So what does the Phantoms have to do this week to pull off the win their 4 straight
Well,
state titles?
as usual, I've got my 4 normal keys to victory. I think Phantoms, just do what you do. You don't have to change anything. Run the football, play defense, run the football more, and just don't turn the ball over. That's how South County's been doing things, getting a lot of their points short field. They make you turn the ball over. They let you make the mistakes and then capitalize.
They definitely capitalize.
So if Phoebus can, and here lately Phoebus has been pretty good with not turning the ball over much. Besides, the late fumble by Pittman and not this past week's game, but the week before, and then Lake Taylor he had one fumble. But besides that, they're usually pretty solid on the turnover battles. So I think they should be okay with that. Another key will be just like last week's key, just insert a different name. Last week it was you had to contain Ravenel, the big-time wideout from Stafford. This week, it's going to be Ferguson, Michael Ferguson. If they contain him, that's going to force other players to step up. Now, does South County have an Anthony Shegog? We'll find out. Do they have a Kevin Daniels, the running back from Stafford? We'll find out. Other players are going to have to step up because I'm pretty sure Phoebus is going to have a strong game plan to stop the wideout.
Well, one thing that's working in favor of South County is they don't have a superstar. If you stop one cog, someone else is going to step up. So, I mean, you don't focus on stopping one individual. You got to stop each play as it progresses.
Definitely. But just the guy to keep a little extra eye on would be Ferguson. And then last but not least, just like last week, get Deloach involved. You saw this week, they got, not the first drive, but I believe it was the second or third drive, they got Deloach involved on a little screen pass. He got to break a couple tackles. If you can get Deloach involved early, it makes the defense respect you that much more. It's going to open up those running lanes. And I saw, Anderson, he impressed me so much last week. He has progressed so much from that first game of the year against Warwick to this point right now. I mean, 19 passes, coming from pass-happy offenses and whatnot, you're like, 19 passes, big deal. When you play for Phoebus and you're a quarterback and you throw 19 passes, it is a big deal.
Yeah, and let's go back a second and talk about Deloach getting involved early. From what I've noticed, when he catches a pass, he blocks better on the next few plays. So it benefits the whole offense when he's involved.
He's more, into the game. He's not just out there running routes and not expecting the ball and whatnot. He's more intrigued with what's going on if he gets an early touch. And I think that just gets the whole team going because he is a captain on the team. And if your captains are fired up, they're the leaders of your team. And the whole team is going to be involved. So, that, like you said, having Deloach involved early is just, it opens up so many different things for Phoebus.
All right, prediction time.
I'm going Phoebus. How can you not? I mean, these kids scratch and claw, ice in the veins, clutch. I mean, what'd you say, 3, 4 fourth down conversions last week? Every time you think they're going to die, they hop out of the grave and they stand on top of your chest. The boys, they don't lose. They don't go down without a fight. I'm going Phoebus 28-24. Why would I say it's not going to be close when it's been close for, the last 4 or 5 weeks? I'm not picking against them. You can if you like, but not me.
Well, 28-24 is a high score for my liking. These two teams are based around running the ball and defense. And when you have that, you have a low-scoring contest.
No.
I like the Phantoms in this one, 16-14 at Scott Stadium, Charlottesville. They're going to be riding in the bus with their 4th straight state championship trophy. They'll probably already have ring measurements in the bus so they can just get fit on the way home. Rings in the mail.
But yeah, I agree 100%. And I could definitely see a low-scoring game depending on the nerves, but a lot of these kids have been here already. I'll be anxious to see how South County responds early in the game, with the big stadium, the glitz, the glamour, of playing in the state title game. Phoebus, they got kids that have played for 4 years out here, been to the state titles. This is nothing new to them. So, they're used to this. I think if they jump out early, it could be a long day for South County.
One last important thing, Phoebus Phantoms, play each and every play like it's your last play, because you never know when it is. The end of the season's here. This is what you've been playing for all year. Give it what you got.
Exactly. Good call. But that wraps up the final edition of the PD Football Pick Show. I know I've had a great time with the football picks this year.
I've had a blast as well.
It's been great. Honestly, I don't want this year to end, but it must come to an end, and hopefully, the PD will bring home another state title. And, you know, I look forward to next season, but I also look forward to basketball, which we're starting to, you know, kind of transition into right now. But, you know, we will be doing basketball pick shows as well. We'll start those next week now that football season is over for the most part.
So stay tuned.
Definitely stay tuned. As always, be sure to check us out on youtube.com/757preps. We do have video of the infamous play, as I'm calling it now, the last play of last week's game. We have that cut out individually. Not the greatest angle, but it's a pretty clear picture of what happened, and you make the call for yourself because I'm tired of trying to. You can also check us out, facebook.com/757preps. We always stream scores on Twitter at 757preps. And of course, you know, check out the site, pictures, video, all that good stuff, standings, scores, you name it. So for Jason Kidd, I'm Perez Thomas. It's been a great season. Good luck this weekend, fans, and we'll see you next year.